Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to today's Federal Funding Assistance webinar. My name is Frank DiCarlo with PCL Solutions, and joining me today is Jeff Hickey, Channel Sales Manager at Verkada, and Hans Honer, Partner Account Manager at CommScope. I'm just noticing, Hans, that I misspelled your last name. I apologize for that on the slide. During this webinar, we will take a look at the free funding support program PCL is offering and outline some of the resources, services, and products we make available to you. PCL, Verkada, and CommScope are here to support your organization and help identify funding available to your organization and/or business. In excess of over $800 billion that federal government has approved specifically for IT. Understanding the law and accessing these stimulus funds can be a confusing process, and we're here to help provide complete end-to-end support. First, we'll get started with a brief overview of PCL and its IT solutions, followed by Jeff Hickey at Verkada, who will discuss and demonstrate a bit about the incredible cameras. And then we'll hear from Hans, who will speak on CommScope services and products before we start to talk about the free grant funding support programs. And again, we'll save some time at the end for questions. So with that, let's get started. For those of you that don't know or aren't aware of PCL Solutions, first off, welcome. We're going to spend a few minutes speaking on, I'm going to spend a few minutes speaking on the company's behalf, but I'm anxious to get to the meat of the webinar. PCL Solutions is based in New Jersey, and our mission, quite simply, is to provide end-to-end IT support to better manage, innovate, and scale business objectives and creative infrastructures. We complement existing IT staff so that our clients/partners can concentrate on their core competencies. IT does not have to be complex. And if there's anything that we hear over and over again is how well our teams work with existing IT staff so that everybody wins. Our system engineers and staff maintain up-to-date knowledge about the latest technological solutions and have an exceptional advantage in providing the skills to address every IT and workflow situation. We make complex IT simple. We know that every business has unique needs and challenges, and in a minute, I'll expand on why recently, for obvious reasons, we created specific virtual teams to cater to the working from home. Remote access is more important than ever, whether that falls in line with our workstation monitoring systems for individual desktops and users, or if it falls under our critical systems monitoring that specifically closely observes servers and networks. It's important to us and our clients that everything is running smoothly with little hiccup. So again, our partners can focus on their business and core competencies. Our mission is to provide end-to-end IT support to better manage, innovate, and scale business objectives. PCL Solutions provides worry-free IT management and advisory services to grow your business and improve time to market. The quality of our service is unmatched in New York and the New Jersey metropolitan area. We employ a tailored approach by studying businesses' frameworks, doing needs assessments, practicing regular governance, and keeping up to date with what our clients' challenges are and working together to resolve those and move forward powerfully, leveraging our knowledge along the way and our expertise, maximize the performance of our clients' networks and creative workflows. Managed services are rapidly replacing traditional information technology. It's the practice of outsourcing the responsibility for maintaining and anticipating the need for a range of IT processes and functions to improve operations and cut expenses. Big question is how much your internal IT staff may be working in the business rather than working on the business. Are you and your staff increasingly being reactive rather than proactive when it comes to IT concerns? If users are unhappy because of how IT is being solved, they begin to associate too many issues with how they're able to perform, and downtime is costly, and in more than one regard. Happy people make for better business and enhance productivity. That's a tangible return on investment. Something we've been doing more and more of because of the need is ransomware or our attention to it. It's predicted that ransomware costs will exceed 20 billion in 2021. It's an alarming statistic and growing problem. And to stay ahead of cyber attacks, we need to evolve faster than they do. PCL Solutions now offers the next generation of cybersecurity powered by AI and built to protect against any attack. It's designed to prevent, stop, and reverse known and unknown threats. We defeat attacks every day, every second of the day. So I just wanted to bring attention a few of the things that among the many that PCL offers. Our top tier infrastructure, our system engineers and staff are some of the best in the metropolitan area and best in the business. That includes our CEO and our CIO. The company's been around for 20 years, but together we have over 75 years of experience. We possess 3 world-class co-locations, data centers that communicate all over the US and globally. I highly recommend that you request a tour and see our facilities. I've gone through enough. We're here to see more about Verkada and CommScope, and of course, securing some funding to help with your IT initiatives. And I want to remind everybody, as questions arise through the webinar today, please click on the Q&A, ask a question, and we'll get to that at the end. So, Jeff, why don't we start with Verkada, show us a little bit about what's going on lately there, and then we'll continue to move forward.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Frank. And let me just get my screen shared here. So right here at Verkada, we are the fastest growing physical security company, right? We're based out of San Mateo, so we are a US-based organization. We are a physical security manufacturer. We specialize in cameras, access control, environmental sensors, and alarm monitoring. We're backed by some great investors such as Meritech, Sequoia, First Round Capital, and Felicity Ventures. Right, we were founded by a team of MIT and Stanford computer scientists, most notably being Hans Robertson, one of the founders of Meraki before selling to Cisco. The goal of Verkada is to kind of build an operating system to run safer, smarter buildings and provide proactive alerts and building insight. Right, and the ultimate vision of Verkada is to really create a secure, scalable platform ready for a variety of different AI applications. So we're talking about, people analytics, vehicle analytics, license plate recognition, environmental controls, proactive alarm monitoring, being able to lock down a building, being able to do heat mapping to see where people are congregating. And I'll kind of walk through all those different solutions as we move forward here briefly. Right, when you look at a legacy system that is out there, right, legacy video surveillance systems are bulky, they're expensive, they're difficult to maintain, right? Typically, you have a variety of cameras plugged onto your network, going back to switches and then tying back into an NVR or a DVR. And then from that point, that NVR and DVR is now sending all that information out to your different monitors, your local PCs, your viewing stations, or you're transversing a firewall to get to the internet to go ahead and start trying to review things remotely. Right, that NVR can be a very difficult or vulnerable piece of equipment that's out there, right? Symantec, Gartner, they deem that NVR to be probably one of the most attacked pieces of network equipment on somebody's network. In that sense, right, the goal of Verkada is to kind of streamline those processes, and I'll show you kind of how we do that by eliminating that NVR here in a second. When you're looking at access control, right, typically, again, it's difficult to scale. It's usually siloed by a building at that point, and then there's a lot of difficult hardware that you have to deploy at the doors, different controllers you have to run, and then again, different ways or difficult ways to manage your users, your groups, your schedules, and all those things to get access to those buildings or buildings. When you look at Verkada's hybrid cloud architecture, right, we truly use solid state storage to eliminate that NVR to DVR. And we call it hybrid because we are using the cloud to go ahead and stream that video across to multiple devices. So with the hybrid cloud solution from Verkada, we record all of our video locally. We go ahead and store all of our access control data on our controllers. We then would go ahead and send that video out to the cloud. That would then be able to liaise that video out to my mobile apps, my PCs, my Macs, my viewing clients, all those issues. When it comes down to sharing that video, we are truly encrypted at the edge at the camera, as well as in transit to the cloud and then out to all of your mobile devices to go ahead and securely monitor your video surveillance solutions. When you look at the environmental sensor, right, we have a native video integration with our environmental sensor. It's a proactive sensor, so it does go ahead and monitor things like temperature, humidity, motion, volatile organic compounds. You can even do things such as vaping with this device. And then again, it's cloud managed. So super simple, no difficult back-end hardware or software you have to manage or maintain. Truly a hybrid cloud technology. We're backed by industry leaders, right? So we're working with, over 5,000 now of the Fortune, organizations. We work with over 40 of the Fortune 500 companies. Here's just a couple of logos that are up there. And if you guys ever wanted to get any references local to where you are, we could be more than happy to provide somebody that's doing something similar or has done used grant funding or anything like that to go ahead and follow along with that process. And then I'll let Hans kind of dive a little bit more into that as we move forward. If you guys do want to follow along as I'm kind of doing a brief walkthrough here, feel free to text your work email address to 888-343-7537. We will go ahead and send you a live link that you can follow along and actually see how our platform works on your mobile device. On top of that, right, we also do offer free trial devices. So if you are interested in doing that, once you go ahead and get an email from Frank and the team over at PCL after this webinar, please reach out to them. We'd be more than happy to set up a free trial for you. So if you wanted to go ahead and get a camera, get hands-on, we'll let you plug it in. You can test it out in your facility and kind of take it from there. From that point, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into our platform. So right, we log in with single sign-on through Okta, so I don't have to worry about different managing of passwords or different devices. You can also use Azure Active Directory. The first page we take you right to is our site overview, right? So I can see all my sites, my cameras, my access control, my environment, or my alarms, and I'm able to quickly just scroll through here and just get a nice health check of everything that's going on. If you have multiple facilities, or maybe you're a municipality or a school district and you have multiple buildings, right, we can also go ahead and utilize our mapping functionalities where we can go ahead and plot all of our cameras and everything on this interactive map, right? All of our cameras here are lit up in green, which means that everything is up and running. If something was lit in either yellow or red, that means there is an issue that needs to be alerted. And even at that point, we can provide that managed service through PCL where they can monitor those cameras and devices for you. Take that one step further, all of our cameras do have accelerometers built right into them. So what that means, if somebody does knock the camera, bang the camera, cover the field of view, we will go ahead and detect that, send an automatic alert, and then start offloading that video from the most recent moment backwards from off the camera to the cloud so that you're never going to lose your video, even if somebody does manage to take that camera down and run away with it. As we step in a little bit further, we can go ahead and do interactive floor plans. So you can go ahead and upload a floor plan of your building. Excuse me. All the little green dots here are going to be our cameras. I can easily click on one of those cameras to see a live view of what's actually going on. Right, I could go out and change to a different building. I could change to a different floor. Right, you see this little coloration here that's popping up in blue. That means that one of our cameras is detecting motion in front of the camera. We also have the capability, and this is a real-time way that we can go ahead and SMS, email, or link out one of the devices or multiple devices or the maps. So in the case of an event, maybe there's something historical you have to do. Maybe there's even an active shooter or a lockdown scenario happening in one of your buildings. You can go ahead and we can automatically send this email out or this SMS out, and then you can then go ahead and get access to it on your phone, very similar to the way you went ahead and actually texted your work email address to that number on the screen prior. We can also do like a historical heat map. So, right, maybe you want to see a congregation or where congregations or people are gathering or how your facility is being used, right? Obviously, with COVID, some buildings are remote, some people are kind of going back to work, depending where you are in the country. This shows you a great historical way of where people are congregating, right? We can see these darker green areas are where people are congregating a little bit more. And maybe we have to figure out a way, okay, well, how do we alleviate some of that pressure through there? How do we social distance a little bit better? Or you can even give that to your janitorial staff at the end of the night and say, hey, this was our most heavily trafficked area today. Can we please make sure we're going ahead and sanitizing that area a little bit cleaner? From here, I'm going to dive right into just one of our live views on our cameras. And again, this is all our platform, right? There's one seamless platform that you're going to manage and maintain right through a browser, right? No need to worry about a thick client or any other software updates because of that cloud nature that we bring to the table. All those firmware updates, all those software updates, they're automatic and they're seamless. What we're looking at here is the front door of our building out in San Mateo, California. Down below, we actually have our historical view, right? So I can come over here in the same way I would kind of manage Netflix. I'm able to scroll left to right and kind of see my historical footage and video and everything that's going on. Every one of these little blue ticks is when motion is occurring. And then the number that's in there is when there is a number of persons or vehicles in the scene itself, right? One of the things to note, Verkada, we do not record on motion. We're recording 24/7, so you're never going to miss anything. And then you can use our advanced features, functionality, and alarms to be more proactive in researching the video or monitoring what's actually happening in your scene. We can go ahead and drill this down. So instead of having 24-hour segments, we could break it out into hour-long segments to be a little bit more manageable. And I can see everything that's going on, right? So you can see here, okay, here's a person in our scene, our field of view. And as I'm scrolling, I can see those changes and everything occurring. We can even go ahead and search specifically based off of motion. So I can come up here and block off my front door, right? And now down below, we're going to go ahead and say it's going to spit back all the times there was motion in that marketed off area, right? I can then even now narrow it down for people or vehicles in that specific area. And now you're going to go ahead and be able to get a little bit more of a narrowed down investigation. So I can see all the people that are walking through the door itself, right? I could then jump in and even do stuff like people in particular, where this is going to go ahead and keep track of all the people in front of our camera here. You can even upload a photo. So if I was looking for a particular person, I can upload a photo of that person's face. So for example, if I was out in San Mateo, I'm actually based out of New Jersey, but if I was, I can upload my photo in here, and then you would go ahead and see all the times that I walked in front of any one of the cameras. So right, again, really simple ways to kind of go back, do that investigation, stay alarmed, stay alerted. We can even go in and do proactive alerts and alarm monitoring, right? So I can come in here and I can go ahead and do different events. I can focus, okay, on people, on vehicles. I can filter by a specific region. So if I wanted to go ahead and block off specific areas of my camera, I can go ahead and create a schedule. So if I want to be notified during certain times, right? Maybe during business hours or school hours, and then right, maybe after hours, right? We can go ahead and do that. We can even be alerted of things like crowds or of people and vehicles, right? So more than 4 people, more than 10 vehicles in the field of view, right? And we can go in and dive and see all that again on a proactive basis, right? Instead of having to sit here and let your system go back and do this, and then somebody calls you and says, hey, I have an issue, and then you have to go back and investigate, you could create proactive flags and monitors that will go ahead and alert you when specific things are occurring. From here, I'm going to go back. We'll dive into our access control a little bit. Right, we have a great seamless integration between video and access control. I come down here, see all of my doors. I can see the status and the health of all of my doors, right? Whether the door has a keypad or a schedule, whether it's using Bluetooth or not, and when the door is either locked or unlocked at this particular point in time. I'm going to come in here and just search for our snack room door. Right, you can see the door is held open. So I'm actually getting a real-time alert there that's letting me know that the door is held open. When I click into my snack room, right, we have a camera associated with that door, so you could see the live view. Okay, so it looks like one of our stock guys is going ahead and filling out some snacks from our office. As I come down here, you can see historical, all the different access control events as they are occurring. Here's all the people, here's the specific event, right? So this is a snack vendor held door open. I can click on that and it'll actually show me, okay, if it's got their credential, their card, and I can see the video even associated with the specific event as I'm scrolling again from left to right through the field of view. We can come in here and search the same way we did our video by specific date and time, by specific users, or maybe specific events, right? So that door held open, if you're a school or a public facility, that's something that creates access, an easy way for somebody to hop into your buildings. Maybe I want to be alerted to that. I can come back here, quickly search for all my door held open events, and I can come back in and see maybe it's the same person doing it. Maybe it's just a particular door, a particular time of day. Right? We can even display this in a graphical interface just to kind of give you a little bit more of a better breakdown to see how frequently it's occurring. So you can see here, all these blue ticks are when it's occurring and the number of times it's occurring in those hour-long timeframes. So right here, maybe on August 23rd between 11 and 12, why are there 3 different events where our doors held open? I can click in there and kind of drill in a little bit smoother. You can adjust your different access levels, right? So if you have one card or maybe a building manager and then staff in the building, or teachers for a particular building, or a principal or a BA for a school, right? You could go ahead and give one card to access all the different buildings and then delegate specific levels of access across each of those cards or each of those use cases. As we jump back into this, right, I'm going to come back in. We can go right into our environmental sensor. This is really a unique device because there's no camera tied into the device, but we can go ahead and integrate a camera with it. But then we can go ahead and again monitor things like air quality, humidity, temperature, particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, vaping, right? So for example, I know vaping's huge in students' bathrooms in schools, or if you're even concerned with things like the volatile organic compounds or particulate matter, right? We were working with a variety of different food manufacturers down in the Carolina area, and they had a refrigeration leak in one of their warehouses. Our vape sensor or environmental sensor was able to actually detect that refrigeration leak. And we were able to go ahead and address that, pull whatever pallets of food off of the trucks at the correct moment before it actually had to get shipped out, totally avoiding some sort of recall on a mass amount of product where we were able to just isolate the product that they had. Outside of those types of things, we could also do noise level, motion, and tampering, right? So this is a great device, great multi-use device right? You could use it again for vaping, for bathrooms and locker rooms in schools. You could use it for refrigeration. You could use it even in IDFs and MDF closets to go ahead and monitor data centers and servers and storage and things of that nature. If I drill into any one of these cameras, I can easily click in. Again, we can go ahead and pull a camera view up with that sensor. And then you can see a graphical interface of all the specifics going on here, right? So if I wanted to see the noise level in this room, or excuse me, or if there's any particular matter changes, I can go ahead and see, okay, well, here's a spike and what's going on. See, maybe it was an air freshener or something like that did happen. From there, right, it's access control. Obviously, if something does occur, we want to be able to lock down the building, so we can create automatic lockdowns. If there's a panic button, we can initiate with that, or we even click our lockdown button right down here at the bottom of the screen, and that will then go ahead and send a variety of different alarms, alerts, and everything out to all the people that we've delegated at this point in time. From there, the last little thing I want to touch on is our new alarm monitoring. So, right, we have a way to go ahead and arm our cameras, so you can go ahead and watch and create proactive alarms and alerts, and this will automatically send any sort of incident, right? So a person detected, we can go ahead and monitor that. That can go out to an email, that can go out automatically right to the police. Totally depends on what you got going on there, but it's a great way to go ahead and arm and disarm the cameras, right? If you have any door contacts, locks, things of that nature, you can lock down your facility through and through, all from one easy dashboard here. Again, managing my cameras, my access control, my environment sensors, as well as my alarms themselves. The last thing I want to touch on is our help screen. I quickly come in here and see our camera fleet. You can dive in here and see what's new. So we'll go ahead and show you all the different products and product updates that are actually coming through from Verkada, take you right to our blog page. Or I can even come in here, and if I had any sort of questions, right, obviously you could reach out to PCL Solutions if there's something going on. But right, if you have any questions, you can come in here, chat directly with Verkada support. They typically respond fast. Or if you have a quick question of, okay, well, how do I search video, right? I can quickly type that in, and then we'll go ahead and spit back an answer that'll bring it through. Okay, well, what type of search are you looking for? Are you just trying to search for people and face searches? Are you trying to do vehicle analytics? Or are you just trying to do a basic people and vehicle search, right? So you can come in here, quickly manage and see all of those things. Again, the benefit of the hybrid cloud nature that Verkada brings to the table is we are truly a seamless end-to-end integration without any additional clunky hardware and software. We're truly just a camera. We're truly just a door controller, right? There's no back-end firmware or software updates that you have to manage, your IT team has to manage, right? And it allows PCL Solutions to go ahead and deploy at a very quicker pace and a very quicker timeline for you and your actual buildings and facilities. So on top of that, our product is backed by an industry-leading 10-year warranty. So if there are ever any concerns, questions, issues, right? 9 years, 11 months, and 29 days down the road, if there's an issue with a camera or something along those lines, we're going to stand behind our product and make sure we replace that for you. So if there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or the chat. We will get back to them kind of when we get to the Q&A. But as far as that goes, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to let Hans take over.
Hey, thanks for that, Jeff. Incredible technology. Every time every time I watch a demo, I just learn that much more about the capabilities and what's possible. Thanks. Yeah, let's hear from Hans and what's going on with the grant funding, how we can support everybody here today.
Perfect. Frank, can you see my screen or everyone?
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for the information. Like you said, every time I look at it, always something new that pops up. So thank you for that. So today we're going to go over kind of CommScope as a whole, Ruckus, and then the COVID funding initiative that PCL, Verkada, and CommScope are kind of putting on for you guys so that you have access to kind of the CARES Act funding and different grants. But first we'll dive into CommScope a little bit. CommScope has over 25,000 employees. We have 55 supply chain locations throughout the world. And then we have around 15,000 plus patents. And the one thing I always like to note is that we spend around almost $1 billion a year in R&D to make sure that we have kind of the highest end solution or the next best product. Every couple of years, as Wi-Fi advances, we want to make sure our products are the best in line. So we put a ton of money each year into research and development, and we're going to continue to do so to offer the best solution to our customers and end users and our partners. And then, so this is a little timeline of Ruckus. If you don't know, CommScope purchased Ruckus or acquired Ruckus in 2019. but Ruckus has been around for over 15 years. In 2004, we started in in television, high def streaming. Around 5 years later, the company figured that wasn't where we were going or the vision the company wanted to see. So we started to kind of focus on other things. Around 2012, we IPO'd and started to focus more on networking. In 2015, our onboarding system, which is called CloudPath, was developed. That is able to use against or with other competitors. It's just an onboarding platform. And then in 2016, which I would say our most famous acquisition to date in the tech industry is Brocade. That's where we gained our switch line and our Wi-Fi access points. And then in 2018, early 2018, CommScope acquired Ruckus and Eris at the same time. And that's where things are today. We have multiple different business units within CommScope, and Ruckus is part of the larger picture for the whole company and industry. So we'll move on to the next slide. So these are some of the access points we offer. Like I said, we have Wi-Fi 6, the newest and greatest technology. We have our high-end R850s and 750s, which are used in auditoriums, stadiums, a lot of high-dense areas. And then we go to our mid-range APs. Not to say our entry or mid-range aren't as good as our high-end, just from a density category. That's where they fall. So you can have multiple people on the R850 because it has an 8x8 spatial stream, whereas the 650 and 550 have 2x2 and 4x4 respectively. And can usually, these are typically seen in a classroom environment. And then we go to our entry level, which is our R550 and R20, which are usually in small to medium-sized businesses. Can still hold quite a few clients, but we tend to stay around the mid-range for deployments. We are also in the hospitality industry. So we're in about 95% of Marriotts throughout the world. And the biggest AP or the best AP for kind of that environment is our H550. We also offer outdoor deployments. So same thing, starting from left to right, our high end is our T750, which is good for maybe a football stadium. They're deployed depending on density. And then we go across to the right side with our T610, our T350, which was recently released. And then we have some specialty units like our M510, which is a mobile AP with LTE backhaul. And then we have a wireless bridge, so a point-to-point access point with the P300 that has been out for quite a while now. And we see a lot of success with that, as well as our products across the board. And then our controller options, we have a little bit of, I would say, something for everyone. So depending on your environment, we have a solution set and a product that's going to work best for you. So starting off with our smallest, I would say, controller is our Unleash platform. It's technically a controller-less solution. And this is, I would say, usually small businesses with very to little or no IT staff, kind of plug and play model. You can control up to 125 APs. Our Ruckus Cloud is pretty much, you can go up to, I don't think there's an actual limit on how many APs or switches you can control. So that's for anyone enterprise networks. And then our Smart Zone and Zone Director, they come with an on-prem solution or virtual for both our Smart Zone. So like I said, kind of something for everyone. And then I think one of the coolest features, I tend to go towards the cloud a lot just because of the ease of use. The platform's easy to use. You can also monitor everything from your phone. So you can actually get shipped an AP, scan the barcode on the back, and it will come configured, or you can kind of change everything you want from your iPhone or Android and plug it in and you're good to go. So the ease of use is one thing that we kind of stride ourselves on. And this is also offered on our Unleashed platform, but with just not as many features. So like I said, depending on your environment, what you want to go for, Cloud or Unleashed offers the ease of use on your mobile app. And then this dives a little bit deeper into our smart zone and our virtual smart zone. We have different, I would say, controllers, depending on if you're a medium business or if you're a large enterprise customer. Our Smart Zone 144 can have up to 120,000 clients, whereas our Smart Zone 300 can have up to 450,000. So these are massive environments. They can also control our switches. And I would say sometimes people like to have that controller on-prem. You can see exactly what's going on. You can actually touch it. Where other people, I see a lot of people moving to like a virtual Smart Zone as well as the cloud. You can't actually touch it, but all the same functionality and features that come with our Smart Zone are on our virtual Smart Zone. And like most of our products, I can talk about a little bit, but as we get deeper into what the client needs, we would get our engineers involved to kind of discuss all the bells and whistles that come along with it. And then the next thing is our line of switches. We have entry-level switches with our 7150, all the way up to our core switch, which is our 7850. That product won CRN Product of the Year in 2019. So it's nationally recognized as one of the best core switches around. It's still around today. Most of these are not going end of sale or end of life for quite a few years. So they're going to be here, as well as we're going to continue to add new ones. One of our nice features about our switch line is you can purchase only what you need. So if you only need one switch today, but you're going to plan for the future, our switches are stackable up to 12 units that can act as one. So it's kind of a future-proofing your network and kind of a pay-as-you-grow model is one thing we do really well at. And then here's a list or just a couple examples of the value of our ICX platform. Just simpler networking, optimized wired underlay for Wi-Fi, LTE, and IoT platforms. And then just like I said before, future-proofing your solution. And then this is where we're going to get into the good stuff, how to actually fund the projects you have at hand. And this is with our grant program, PCL and Verkada. We've teamed up with the grants office to kind of walk you through obtaining these funds. So as you can see on the screen, this is a little outdated just because the CARES Act, most of it has been actually sent out to end users. You probably know that there's these funds available, but we're going to talk about how to actually get your unfair share. So the Consolidated Appropriations Act has about $150 billion for IT spending. That is being or has been sent out to most, I would say, states already, but maybe not all the way trickled down to the end user, as well as the American Rescue Plan. I would say within the last month, they have started to divvy that up and send it out as well. But I would say it's more at a local, or not a local, at a state level right now. But soon you'll start to see it, and then we'll kind of touch on how to obtain these funds. But the one thing I like to point out, I've talked about this a lot, but $370 billion state and local government. There's a ton of money. As I look at the $7 billion for the Consolidated Appropriations Act, I'm always like, that's not a lot, but $7 billion is a ton of money that if we go after it now, you would see kind of your unfair share. But if you wait towards the end of when the deadlines are, you might not see as much. So I say kind of jump on it as soon as possible, but we'll walk you through how to actually get the funds. So these are just deadlines and examples of grants, depending on what end user you're with. There's different pools of money that you may already be aware of and that you're eligible for. So one of the big ones is the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. And the ESSER 2, which is Elementary and Secondary Education Relief Fund. Most of these, or all of them, are valid until September 30th of 2023. So unlike the CARES Act, where you got money last year, maybe you didn't know if you were going to get any more, kind of held on to it. Maybe people didn't spend it. This, you actually have time to think about the project, implement it, and receive the funds. Usually if you do it now in a 6 to 10 week span, and then actually implement the project. So you have some time to think. Where the CARES Act, it was kind of, hey, you have money, spend it by this date, and you lose it if not. But I would say you want to jump onto this as soon as possible, because if there's 8 billion now and 20 or 30,000 school districts are going after it, and they take up 90% of the funds, the people towards the end are only going to have the last 10%. So it's free money. Kind of getting your unfair share is where we're gonna show you how to do this. This is another slide on the American Rescue Plan. Just the same funds, just the third version. And one thing to note, if you did sign up for the CARES Act or receive CARES Act funding, you should automatically receive the next two funds, given passed out from the state or wherever it may be. But this is where we come in and show you how to identify the funding source, navigating the application process, because the grant writing is also pretty tough, and then just end-to-end support from us, and just guiding you guys along the way. And so this is what I mean by identifying the funding source. So if you work with us, we can fill out the sheet on the left-hand side, the custom funding report tool. And it's just basic information. On the top, you'll put my name, phone number, email, and then the customer information. So just basic information like address, name of the end user, and then we're going to discuss the project. So if there's an initiative going on, we kind of want to know about it. If it's maybe early stages, it doesn't have to be in detail. It doesn't have to be product oriented. It just has to be about the project and what it's going to accomplish for the school or for the students. You'll send that to myself or Frank or even Jeff. We'll send that to the public funding support team here at CommScope. They will then get that over to the grants office, which is someone we've teamed up with to actually create the report and kind of guide us through this whole process. Once that's submitted, within 7 business days, we're seeing a lot of, I would say, reports being generated. So it might be 7 to 10 right now, depending on how many people are going for it. But typically within 7 days, a customized report will be sent back to the end user, kind of stating what funds are available. And then we usually like to have a call with someone in finance, maybe the IT director, to discuss what grants are available. Most of the time we can tell that, okay, you've spent money on CARES or you've got money from the Consolidated Appropriations Act, but there's actually a few more, which I'll get to later, grants that are on a yearly rolling basis that have a lot of money right now and can continue to be used in later years that are, I would say, non-COVID years. And then this is where we kind of come in. We guide you through the process, that end-to-end support, and then the success with writing the grant with our grants office and with us is just skyrocketed. It makes it very easy. They go through the whole process. They talk it out, kind of write out what needs to be done. Kind of things like that to make it as easy as possible. And then this is a example of the grant. So this was for a university, and they spent money, or they received money from the CARES Act, but needed another 100,000 to fully fund their project and kind of get the money they needed to accomplish what they were looking for. And so they actually ended up using the environmental literacy grant, and I think the environmental education grant, to fund the other 100,000. So this is going to be the report. Sometimes they're a little bit overwhelming. Depends on how large the end user is. They can range from 25 pages to over 100 with numerous grants. So it gives you a pretty good comprehensive report of what's available and how to obtain the funds. And so if this wasn't a PowerPoint, you can actually click into the report and it will give you information on the timeline, when it is actually due, and what's necessary, like what information on the end user's part is going to be required. And all of these are going to be pulled. So you already meet the requirements to obtain the funds. It's just about now submitting the grant and then hopefully getting approved for the amount you want. I also did not mention this whole thing is free. There's no charge. The only thing that may come about is if you do not have a grant writer on hand, then that's where they can step in and write the grant for you. But most of the time it's pretty free, or it's all free. And then they can actually, if you write a draft of the grant, they can look it over for you, give suggestions on, hey, this wording maybe isn't going to work. We've seen this, this, and this, and it's going to get approved. So they do a lot of that, but it's a really good program. If you need additional information, we can get it to you, get you the custom funding tool to fill out the information. We can get this process going. And then I believe, oh yes, the last slide. So like I said, grants fund projects, not products. So it's not specified that you have to use a Ruckus solution or Verkada. We want you to, but we want to give you the money first, or give you the tools to find that money. And then we can push our product and kind of let you know, like, hey, this is why we have the best solution out there. And these are just some examples. So K through 12, just the one-to-one student device initiative, classroom technology, student learning management, and then for higher education, workforce development, remote virtual education, and then research infrastructure are just some that we've seen kind of, if these keywords or buzzwords are in there, they're going to get passed through. But that's all I had. So I'm going to hand it back over to Frank. And if there's any questions, we're available to walk you through this whole process and kind of get your unfair share.
That's excellent, Hans. Thank you so much. I can say firsthand, because I've seen a number of these go through, as Jeff and Hans have before, over the last few weeks since we've announced this. It's an incredible process. As Hans says, it's free. You have end-to-end support. And I've seen within 7 days after a submission, a 100-page document come back and actually outline the grant, the funding that's available to the prospective business or organization. So it's an incredible program. So it's free money. It's pretty wild. We do have a number of questions coming here. We're really short on time, but let's get to a few that we have. So I guess this is for you, Hans. Can you use grant money for E-rate funds?
Yes. So we've seen quite a few people receive E-rate funding. And maybe if you're an 85% school or 65% school, you can use the funding to fund the other 45% or whatever is needed extra for E-rate. So nothing is coming out of pocket for the school.
Very good. Any questions anybody has? Because I see some hands being raised. Just put them in the Q&A and we'll see. We'll do our best to get to them. Regarding the Verkada cameras, Jeff, how are these? A couple of people asked, how are these powered?
So they're powered with PoE, so Cat5, Cat6 cable back to a power over Ethernet switch.
Okay. Do the cameras have night vision?
They do. They can all have options for infrared at night, depending on the ambient lighting in the area. So yes, they can see at night.
Okay, great. Back to the funding. There's a question about, is there a public page where people can view the grants received by companies in the last few years? I'm not sure about that answer.
Yes. So I believe there is a public page that you can go to for the CARES Act or the COVID funding money that you can see what's been given out. I think it's all public knowledge. As far as I would say a smaller grant that are not COVID funding, those would be on a case-by-case basis. So what's available to the public will be depending on, so for the environmental grant that I talked about earlier, that's depending on their website and if they're a public company or kind of along those lines. But most of the COVID funding is all available to the public, so you can see what's available. We've seen a few where the IT department is like, oh, we don't have a budget. And in actuality, the K through 12 organization received 200,000 and just the IT department didn't get any. So kind of a nice conversation, because you can say, hey, this is where this money's at. You've already spent it here. Can I use this grant to fund my project? If that answered your question.
Thank you.
And then I saw one more about for-profit hospitals. I would say it just depends. We have seen a couple for-profit, I would say eye care institutes receive some money, but it doesn't hurt to fill out the custom funding report, have the grants office come back to us, and then we can let you know. So if that's something you want to do, just let us know and we'll get it done for you.
And what about, Jeff, what about video footage? Somebody's asking how that is shared. I don't think we saw any of that.
So video footage is shared directly right through the SMS, through the email, or through the web link. So kind of like how at the beginning when I asked if you wanted to follow along, you can send your email to that number, right? Very similar, right? You could do that. It's actually archived in the cloud for seamless sharing. And then if I needed to, I could download it into MP4 format and share out with people from there.
Excellent. Someone's asking if we take a portion of the grant services once we the grant amount is
Nope.
There's a fee. No, that's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the grant is fully to the end user. The grants office is paid for by us, PCL and Verkada and CommScope. So all the fees are covered. The only fee that's associated is the, like I said, if you don't have a grant writer on hand, to have someone write the grant, it ranges from simple grant from 2,000 all the way up to 7,000 for like maybe a full school district, and depending on how complex it is. So no money taken out from the actual grant.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of questions here, but we need to respect everybody's time. We're not surprised that there is so much interest. We're more than anxious to speak to you about all the opportunities. But for now, we're going to have to come to a close on this. So if there's any questions that you want answered specifically, you certainly can get in touch with me. I can help you get in touch with Hans and Jeff, and also the grant funding assistance. So no problem there. Before you go, scan the QR code or wait until after the webinar, and you will receive a link for a quick survey. And it's just going to ask you what you're interested in. We're going to contact you regarding not only what you're interested in, but also an opportunity to win some prizes. Maybe Jeff, Hans, I know you came with a grab bag of different things. You want to just talk a little bit about what people can win when we contact them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like from Verkada, we're offering either a $25 or $50 gift card. I know depending on if you're in the public sector or not, there's limits to how much you can receive, quote unquote, as a gift. So just be clear about that when you get in there, or you have the option to receive a actual permanent camera of ours with a license outside of the free trial.
Excellent. Hans, I know that you came with a couple of goodies as well.
Yeah, and so we're going to offer the R320, our access point, like I said, our entry level, but it gives you good visibility into what our product can actually do. As well, it comes with our cloud platform, so you can check out the interface, see how the AP is doing, all the notifications and things like that. I think the email or the QR code has all the information needed in the call, and then we'll send it out to you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so please, we look forward to speaking with you. If there's any questions or anything that you want before you hear from us, please feel free to reach out to me. But for now, we need to get moving. Until next time, Hans, Jeff, thank you so much. This has been great, and looking forward to speaking to everybody.
Thank you, and thank everybody for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, have a great day.